Coastal Local Plan under the inspector. I think it's P. Lewis, isn't it? Philip Lewis.
Yes, that's correct. Well, I'm Jerry Bremner. I live in Trimley St Martin.
Right.
Member of the KATCAG Community Action Group, and we've been actively campaigning on behalf of the local community with regards to the local plan.
Yes.
For which we have a number of kind of major concerns. I think so far, from what I've seen today, there's been some fairly substantive and rigorous questions filed at the local council, which I think there is still room for a lot of more detail from them in answer to those questions. The inspector is kind of adjudicating, trying to keep a balance and trying to keep the conversations on topic.
Difficult job.
Very difficult job, yes indeed. I mean, a very, very big turnout actually, I think, of local community groups, professionals representing local community groups as well as on the other side. And obviously a lot of concern, I think, about the impact that the local plan might have on Suffolk as a county, and I think on the lives of the people that live in the county. I mean, I live on the Felixstowe Peninsula, and there is a significant impact in the local plan about housing levels and infrastructure, traffic, pollution, climate considerations that are of concern to everybody, because they're going to impact everybody.
Indeed.
So yeah, I think that this is the first day of a fairly lengthy process that will continue.
4 weeks, I think,
4
isn't
weeks,
it?
I think,
Yeah.
yes, that's right.
But I was going to, towards the end there, we had, would you believe, an economist who was brought in by, I'm not sure who brought him in, but he was saying that he thought there was a disconnect between the number of jobs created and the number of houses being built to house those people filling those jobs. Now, he made a claim which I found a little hard to understand. He said there are an additional 9,000 jobs, he thought, when he was challenged on his figures, in Suffolk coastal area, and 1,200 dwellings that had been built in the same period, whatever that period was. I don't quite see a lot of evidence of that. When I look at the population we have walking in the high street and around the town, it's ageing. Significantly, much more so when I first moved here 44 years ago. I mean, I've aged with the town, like many of us have. And the claim seems to be that if you were to equate the number of jobs supposedly created in a number, you would just keep running whatever. There was no account that people die, people downsize. Commercial property is now allowed to be converted to dwellings without any planning consent, in fact. A very narrow, misleading presentation, and it didn't seem to get challenged over much other than Mr. Cowan, I think, had a go at it, didn't he?
I think, yeah, I totally agree with you, and I think that, I mean, he was actually representing Pegasus and Persimmon.
Oh, is that who? Well,
so
that makes sense.
It's not unexpected that his forecasts are going to support their aspirations in terms of development.
Right.
And I think that's the problem with the whole local plan, is that instead of it being led from the bottom up based on the local needs analysis.
Yeah, it's top down.
It's top down.
It's Westminster down.
So what happens is the council get given a number, and they've got to then
justify it virtually.
To justify that number.
Yeah, it's the wrong way around.
And that doesn't exist. It doesn't work in Felixstowe. I mean, Felixstowe is a peninsula.
And a retirement destination.
It's a retirement destination and could be developed as a tourist.
Oh, indeed, it
area.
could. Yes.
It's an area where people enjoy coming to, and there's probably not enough effort put into developing tourism and those ancillary industry services around that. But what you have is this, I think the figure quoted was 22,000 jobs in Suffolk.
Oh, right.
And
that's the whole of Suffolk.
Ian Cowan very, very astutely said, well, how many of those
yes.
are within the DC.
Absolutely, yeah. And he came up with it.
6,000.
Was it 6? I thought, yeah.
6,000.
Oh, yes, it was. It
I made
came
note
down
of it
from
at the
9.
time.
Yes.
But that 6,000 doesn't equate to the Felixstowe Peninsula.
No.
So you can break that down even further.
Indeed, you can.
But if you look at the percentage of the housing allocation as a whole that is being put into Felixstowe
Yes.
on the peninsula, it doesn't stack up with the historical job growth.
No.
And I mean, the representative of the developer, of course, is saying it's exploded, you know.
No,
growth has
quite the
exploded.
reverse.
And
Yeah.
I looked around at that point because, I mean, I've lived in Felixstowe for 30 years.
Right.
And I haven't seen, I've had businesses
Yes.
in Felixstowe.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is a major flaw in the evidence base, as far as I'm concerned, is that the justification for houses is based on port-centric growth.
Which
within
isn't
the
happening.
Felixstowe. And most people know that actually artificial intelligence, computerisation is driving.
Automation of the
Yeah,
port will
absolutely.
come.
It will come.
And the ships.
Has to come because
Yeah.
other ports are automating.
Yes.
And for Felixstowe to remain competitive, it's got to compete.
Well, equally, there is the ongoing competition coming from London Gateway,
Yeah, absolutely.
which is automated. It is actually a port-centric development rather than just a port. And I mean, we've got the unbelievable requirements, supposedly, artificially created, that we should dump a logistics park on the finest agricultural land we have on the peninsula at Innocents Lane, when if they were to copy London Gateway, all that splitting of cargo, etc., would be done actually at the port. It would never leave the port until it was ready to go where its final destination was. You would not have all this sort of pepper potting that actually is destroying our town.
Yeah, and I think if you talk to anybody who's senior management within the port, they'll tell you that there is available land within the port.
Well, I'm told there's an overcapacity. That's never been used.
That's not been used.
No.
Even though the potential has been there and nobody's taken it up. So the demand is not there for the level that they're talking about. And yes, we're fortunate in the local community group has got actually an ex-planning manager from the Port of Felixstowe. We've got experts coming in who worked at a high level in the Port of Felixstowe, and they will categorically say and evidence that there isn't the demand there for the level of warehousing that is being projected in the city.
Okay, young man, this is day one.
This is done. Absolutely.
So
Long way to go.
we've got a long way to go, and thank you very much for giving me the time.
worries.
You may, as I was, be rather disappointed that even though this is an examination in public, there seems to be very little communication with the public out in the wider community of Suffolk Coastal, which is, I think, about 110,000 folk. So what have we got here today? 50, 60, 70?
Yeah, possibly.
I didn't see any local reporters of any sort.
No, there is a lack of media presence.
And it's a sadness. And they have the facility here. There's CCTV, etc., etc. It could actually be available for the whole of the community that was engaged to communicate. Hello.
Hi, you well?
Yeah, I'm fine. And I think it's a tragedy that our democracy is actually restricted to folks who can make it here to Woodbridge in this building over the period of the whole, debate. So they won't hear the debate, will they?
Let's face it, a lot of working people can't make it
They can't. No,
because of
no.
their commitments.
No.
There is technology now that this could have been a streamed event.
Well, that's what I thought it could have been. In fact, I thought there might have been something, because I've not been able to get
But I
here
mean,
to
I think
discuss
it's
it.
reflective of the way in which the consultation
It's a very
process-
privileged, isn't it? It's a privileged system, and it shouldn't
and
be.
It's not it's not unrepresentative that the meeting to approve the local plan
Yes.
was on the 3rd of January
It
during
was.
the Christmas bank holiday period when a lot of people weren't here
No.
or unable to attend.
But you may or may not seen the video that we were able to put together as a service to the community by Walton Community TV, and we took it and we edited it and we actually put it out on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it is available. This is not available in
No,
any
it's
way,
not.
shape or form.
It's not.
I find that
It's
very
not.
disappointing.
Yeah, I do agree, but I do think it's part of the process of ticking the boxes.
Which isn't what the
which isn't
process should
what
be.
the process should be.
Because we're going to have to live with the result or the lack of it, aren't we?
We're talking about a 20-year implication here.
It is.
And it's a plan that's evidenced on out-of-date information. We're now approaching a post-Brexit country where the landscape's going to change, political and economically, and you can't impose a 20-year plan unless you evidence it with current information going forward.
True.
And, that's what needs to be looked at. If we look at the fact that in this area, a lot of this development is on prime agricultural land, which is going to be so important for this country as a major food producer going forward. That value needs to be quantified and put into the local plan so that you can say, is it better for us to keep that for agricultural production, or is it better for us to cover it with concrete and take a one-hit profit?
Yeah, but that's always questionable. But the final thing was, I think there was a question raised. It was there and it's gone, but it was something along. It wasn't housing need. It was the reluctance of the inspector and the Suffolk Coastal District Council team to accept a census evidence figure on lack of growth of population within our peninsula as not fitting what the national calculation method is, which is quite bizarre. Reality must be suspended whilst we take this sort of fake reality, which central government has told us we might. Really, if there's exceptions, and you should flag it up, should you not?
I think that was Ian Cowan who brought that up again. Now, Ian's a chartered accountant, he's a detail man.
Very much.
He goes through detail. And if your local plan over 20 years is not based on detail, then what is it based on?
But your detail will arise with significant things such as a census.
Well, absolutely.
So surely it should be modified by a census.
Well, it is, and what's I'm hoping is going to be available as the process unravels is more opportunity to challenge that detail. But at the moment, the argument put forward by the inspector was that his job is to assess whether the standard model has been applied.
Yes, and then it's sound.
The process has been applied, and whatever comes out the other end,
bang.
It's irrelevant as to whether that's actually appropriate.
No.
Now that, as Ian quite correctly said, well then you put common sense over there.
Yes, you do.
And you say, we just follow this, whatever.
Well, let's hope we're proved wrong on that during the course of the next, 5 weeks or so.
Well, it's not going to be a smooth ride for the local authority, and I think that, there's going to be a lot of heated discussions, especially with regards to the peninsula and Innocents Farm. And
well, Saxmundham sounded to be a very strange set of circumstances.
Is an interesting one.
Yes, but the garden neighbourhood, to give it that name and you can get away with anything.
Well, garden neighbourhood conjures up this kind of image, doesn't it? Of it all being very, very lovely, and village greens and the kids running around surrounded by trees and forests. But
it's custard and apple pie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for that. That's
You're
grand.
welcome.
And hopefully we can do a catch up in a couple of weeks' time.
Well, let's hope so, yeah.
Cheers now.
Good. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.